Welcome to The State of Us.
Beyond mainstream cable news and party lines, with a millennial and a boomer, The State of Us pushes past the noise and uncovers all the issues that matter.
Here's your host, Justin T. Weller.
We are in the mood for food. Yes, the mood for food. It is that time of year, folks, where you are getting your yearly Thanksgiving food and traditions episode from The State of Us. For those of you that are longtime listeners, you know that food is near and dear to Lance and I. And I think our audience is also one that appreciates the finer points of food. But this year, things do look a little different. Only 27% of people say that they're going to celebrate Thanksgiving as they normally would, according to a recent survey of over 9,000 adults. And of those who are meeting in person, but taking precautions, 20% plan to be with a smaller group, 14% plan to wear masks, and 14% plan to social distance, according to the poll. This is all from the Wall Street Journal, so we're going to talk a little bit about how Thanksgiving is going to look different for those of us on the show today. Also tell you some about our food and traditions as well. We've got a lot to go over, but we cannot be in the mood for food without
True Chat senior historian and an educator of more than 30 years. Here is your friendly redneck liberal, Lance Jackson.
It's going to be a different Thanksgiving, I think, for most people. And even if you tend to lean on that side where you're going to meet as usual, I would think that there would be trepidation on the behalf of most people in attendance because of wondering what you're doing either to your own health or to the elderly people or immune affected people in your family or in your party that you're having. So I think it will be different for everyone, even for those people that say, well, we're not going to let the pandemic stop us from doing things the way we always do them. And then many of us are going to be doing it in a different fashion this year. Not a right, wrong, or indifferent, but I think it will be a different Thanksgiving no matter how we tend to celebrate it in our families this year.
So we get to start a couple things today. It seems like the time of year where we have that opportunity. So Lance, with that, what is our word of the day today? What have you come up with for us?
Just so you know, trepidation was not it. I have the word onerous.
Onerous.
For the onerous demands on this Thanksgiving celebration.
Can you spell it for us?
Onerous?
Yes.
I can.
And also,
do you want me to?
Tell us the definition. Yes. Would you please spell it for us and define it?
Onerous. O-N-E-R-O-U-S.
Onerous.
It means burdensome or laborious or involving a legal obligation that equals or exceeds the benefits.
Okay. Well, I don't think we'll be using it in the last context, hopefully today, but
it is in its normal place, used as an adjective.
Onerous is our word of the day. So all of you listeners out there, keep an eye out, see if we're able to make use of it correctly, right? If we don't, you got to call us out. So, Lance, the holidays, as you pointed out, right, 2/3 of adults think that traveling for the fall and winter holidays poses at least a moderate risk to their health and well-being, with 32% saying it poses a large risk, according to the most recent data from Axios. And so I think that what we can take away from this, right, is that most people think that it's going to be different in some way. And in fact, only 27% say they're going to do it like they always do. So the vast majority of people are not doing it the way they usually do. And from our standpoint, I don't think, we're going to hear from the Devon creature, but not quite yet. At least for us, Lance, it's going to look, I think, a little bit like it usually would, except it's going to be smaller. It's only going to be the group of people that have been in contact with each other the past few months. So we're not really getting together with extended family. We talked about my grandma is staying with my parents right now. So I think it'll just be, the immediate family and my grandma, because those are the people that have been in contact with each other this whole time. We're not, Brett, my husband, talked to his parents the other day and, decided that because of his job, especially that we would not be seeing them over the holidays. So, and I think that's the situation for a lot of people. But what about on your end, Lance? What's happening for your Thanksgiving this year?
Well, we are going to all meet separately and together at the same time. This fall, we did some family Zooms, and they kind of fell by the wayside this summer, but we're going to reinstitute that, I think, on Thanksgiving here. My brother and his family, who always come over here, are going to have their Thanksgiving dinner separately in their home. My two daughters, who live in the Cleveland area in different homes, are going to get together in one of their two homes. And then my wife and I are going to be here at our house. What is going to be interesting is that I've talked them into allowing me to cook the food and deliver it to them on Thanksgiving morning. So that's going to be the biggest difference, is that I'm going to prepare the meals, and my wife and I are going to, we've bought the containers and everything, and we're going to box them up and drive them to them and spend most of the day on the road, because that's about 7 or 8 hours worth of driving for us to deliver these meals so that they can have the food that they want. And then I still get to have the experience of cooking it. And then there's plans, I guess, in the works for a late afternoon Zoom where everybody sits down and eats together, and we play games. And my brother's even trying to get a Zoom session of horse on the outdoor basketball courts that are available, so that we can, because there's always a tradition. My nephew loves to play and get as many people involved in the Jackson family basketball game on my full size half court in my backyard. So there's some talk of getting a Zoom game of horse together in the 3 different locations, and maybe even including my sister's family in California in on the Zoom.
So you're doing like you're still going to do the food like you usually would, but rather than everybody coming in person, everybody's still going to get a taste of the famous Lance Jackson cooking. But it'll all be had virtually. And hopefully, at least it sounds like you're going to pretty much get to see everybody virtually,
Yep.
right? So and communicate that way, but definitely different than definitely, like you said, you're going to spend a lot of time on the road, I think.
Well, I'm going to travel more on Thanksgiving morning and afternoon than I have traveled since March. just for our audience, my wife and I have pretty much stayed in our own bubble. We live in a rural area to begin with, and we have stayed pretty much in our home and on our acreage without much contact. There have been 4 or 5 people that have come that have visited that have stayed outside and wear masks on occasion. And other than that, we pick up our groceries contactless. We order a lot of it. Almost we haven't been to a big store like a Walmart or a Target or any of those. Everything's been ordered online since March. So we're that 10% just very hardcore, not taking a chance.
Right.
So at all. And again, that's not a political move. I'm not campaigning for that. That's been a life choice for us, just like everybody else wants to make their life choices. I'm not putting down anybody else's life choice, so I hope nobody puts mine down,
So let's turn to the Devon creature. What will Thanksgiving look like this year for you? And is it any different than it usually is?
I am a little unsure how it's going to exactly look, but it will definitely be a different style than what we're used to. We plan to have some of our immediate family over, but I pretty much already live with my parents, so 95% of that isn't an issue. And then we also have my brother and his wife. He would be coming as well. And we already have his daughter over all the time, so my mom can babysit them. So it's just like we're already kind of in some form of contact with each other's, and we don't want to push it much further than that. Especially with the rise in cases. I even was just like, no, let's kind of skip out on it this year. But I also had a lot of conversation with my mom, and she was just like, who knows if this could be, someone's last Thanksgiving. Should we just push the rules? Should we not? And I wasn't really sure where to take that, and I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with that as well.
Well, I think the part that we're all waiting for is what's coming up here in a moment, which is where we actually get to talk about the important stuff, which is the food, obviously. But I did want to mention, because usually the way it is for us, I did mention that it's immediate family, but people mean different things when they say that. Like usually what my family's Thanksgiving would consist of, on either side of the family, whether that's, my side of the family or my husband's side of the family, it's extended family. So like cousins, aunts, uncles, usually they're all present for the same meal. And this year that is not the case. So like immediate family being my, two parents, my brother, my grandma, because she lives with my parents, and, my husband, Brett. So like, that's the extent. I think that's what, 7 people, but 7 people who have already all been spending time together anyway. So we get to talk about food coming up. What do we do for food? And I tell you what, folks, there's some, you've probably got some interesting stuff out there. I would guess our listeners at home probably have some unique things because we've found some, somewhat unique items from the Devon creature and what they do for Thanksgiving. So to find out what that is, keep it here on The State of Us, and we'll be right back.
We are The State of Us. Here's your host, Justin T. Weller.
Lance, it's that time of year, the mood for food, right?
Yep.
And starting next week, you're pretty much you're like 24/7 in the kitchen, right?
Pretty much.
So when do the pies start? When do those start? Because I think that's the most important to me, anyway.
Well, usually, no. I mean, you say in the kitchen for a week. I'm not. I've got a few things that I've done. I'll do a little bit of prep work, but basically, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Is when the cooking takes place.
So what has to start the furthest out?
Well, you got to thaw your turkey.
Yeah.
Since I don't buy a fresh turkey, you've got to get your thoughts right on how far out you have to have your turkey out so that it can be thawed and you can put it in the brine and then pull it out, because then everything goes in the oven around the turkey. Once it is the main object,
the main object.
Necessity.
So is there a brand of turkey, or is it just something from do you have your turkey yet? I guess let's start there.
I do. We got them this week when we picked up our groceries.
How big is this turkey?
Contact delivery. Well, because I don't have the space, because I'm keeping so much more food in the house, because we typically ate out a lot, and I think we've picked up something to eat 3 times or 4 times since March. Mm-hmm. I've cooked everything ourselves for the last 7 or 8 months. So my freezer and refrigerator are full. So I don't have room for a big turkey. So I bought 2 smaller ones, 10 to 14 pound size, and am contemplating whether or not this week to pick up a third of that size.
Gotcha. So you could have up to 3 turkeys. Is that?
I could, okay. but they're on the smaller side,
right? Because
they'll fit in my refrigerator and freezer along with all of the other food that I will make.
So Lance probably has some female turkeys. Would be my guesstimation on his selection of these smaller birds. So
I didn't ask him.
You didn't know? Well, why don't you go out and ask the turkeys?
Because the reason that we have to eat turkey is because it didn't get its sip of Red Bull before all the other farm animals on the original Thanksgiving, and it didn't develop wings and could fly away. And
right.
So the farmers and the Indians the Pilgrims and the Indians had to.
Don't they already have wings?
Yeah, but they don't fly. It's a non-flying bird.
I tell you what, having raised turkeys, I tell you, it depends a lot on the type of turkey, because there's some turkeys that you don't want a 18-pound bird flying at you. That's
it's really the Red Bull turkey,
yeah.
But honestly, the first thing that gets made is the base for the dressing.
Really?
You cook up your cornbread or whatever bread you want to use, and you let it get a little stale.
Uh-huh.
You don't want it fresh. So that will be what will start the aroma in the kitchen is the mixing of cornbread.
So Devon, is turkey part of your Thanksgiving? Is that a thing?
It typically is, but I will say we kind of have skipped that the last couple years and opt for another option,
which is
it is lasagna. And I know that sounds weird.
Well, because when you think about people typically have turkey, but there's people that don't do turkey, right? They might do a ham or something like some kind of meat dish, and then but lasagna. Tell us more about the lasagna. So this is the center point, right?
Yes,
everything goes in around the lasagna, Lance.
Yes, it is the main meal. We do have a dessert with it, which I can get into that later, but for the lasagna, my mom does make 2 lasagnas, and that is the difference is there's one with regular meat and the other one with fake meat in it. And that's because I don't eat regular meat anymore, at least red meat. So
lies. Anyway, go ahead.
So wait a minute, with this lasagna, I have 2 comments, and one on the serious and one joking. The serious side is Justin started off with food. And it is the center point, I think, of most of the get together. But I think the number one, and I don't want to miss this or misrepresent it, and that is bringing everybody together. The food is really secondary in my estimation. It's the time that we take to spend time with our families. It's like everybody clears their schedule. We all get so busy that we don't have time together. And for my brother's family who comes with us, they usually produce a musical in September and October. So they haven't obviously done that this year, but then they come over and they've just finished the last weekend of production, and they're just getting together as a family unit really for the first time. And they come over here and sit, and we just visit and hang out. And my daughter's clear, they both work in education / sports, and they clear. We've always been able to clear our schedules. I mean, I've coached basketball and had tournaments on Thanksgiving Day, but we always found time to sit down as a family to eat. So in all seriousness, the main focus isn't the turkey or the food. It's the chance to get together with people, I think, needs to be the focus of Thanksgiving. But then why not, since you don't eat red meat, why don't you make a veggie lasagna? You got something as vegetables too?
So
you're against red meat. That's my funny one is I like veggie lasagna, but I love lasagna because you got noodles and cheese. You can't go wrong. 100%. Put anything you want in it and it's good. And cheese. But veggie lasagna is not bad, but you're just talking about 2 different kinds of meat, and you totally skipped the vegetarian lasagna.
Okay, so vegan and anything that is vegan is vegetarian, so it could still apply to. And plus, there is cheese in it, so it's not even vegan; it's vegetarian. I'm just saying,
why are you dissing on the vegetarian lasagna?
I'm not. I haven't gotten there yet. I don't dislike vegetarian lasagna or lasagna with any vegetables in it. That's not what I'm saying.
He's just a moral licenser, Lance. That's all we can say.
What I'm getting at is I've tried quite a few lasagnas over my time and have made a lot of my own. And I will say that it's like it's like a comfort meal for me because it's something I grew up with my mom making on an occasion. And so it kind of became like that comfort meal. And it's just like, I want to get as close as I could as possible. So fake meat versus vegetables in it was the better option rather than it just being simply a cheese lasagna, which is kind of bland, not going to lie.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with cheese.
They're still
lasagna.
Good. They're still good, but
no, I agree with you. No, it
doesn't hit right anymore.
No. That's like a cheese pizza. Just like, really? Just cheese?
I can eat some cheese pizza though.
I think that's Devon's go-to pizza is just plain old cheese.
Cheese pizza is actually the worst for you because calorie-wise and everything.
I don't care about the calories.
Not displacing some of the cheese with ingredients. Actually, for calories, the highest calorie pizza is usually a
Really?
cheese pizza.
That was something I didn't know, but I'm
Then you gotta
okay
get
with it.
the cheese stuffed crust, Lance. I mean,
Oh,
let's not
that's
forget,
even better.
if we're getting a cheese pizza, there's got to be cheese inside the crust and toasted Parmesan
goodness
on the
gracious.
crust.
That-
I mean,
Justin knows because he's ordered it for me.
yes. So
Getting back to the lasagna situation, everything, it's pretty much just regular old lasagna, just replaced with fake meat. There's nothing really special about it. It's just pasta, noodles, marinara sauce,
but
the
it's
fake
homemade,
meat.
or
Yep,
or
it's
the
definitely
ingredients
homemade.
are thrown together, maybe come out of a jar, or you buy, or does mom make her own
Oh
noodles?
no,
or her own
that's too much
sauce,
work.
or-
We don't go that far.
but you do throw it together.
Yes, yeah.
You don't buy a frozen lasagna and stick it in the oven or the microwave.
No, we prefer to go the homemade route. Personally, we all think it tastes better. So,
Oh, I agree. I think
Lance is like, absolutely. So, and actually I wanted to say, Lance, because on your serious note, I thought it was worth mentioning, since you and I are and I don't know, how much of the food prep do you do, Devon?
it really depends. I can end up being right there with my mom the entire time, or she could end up doing a majority of it. It's really depends on who's there, what's going on, the situation. If she's even ready to cook, then I might be doing it. If she isn't,
At least for the last few years, I've been doing the turkey for quite a while now, but like the last few years, I've kind of been preparer in chief of the food. And I think that's pretty much the same way it is for Lance for the most part. And I just wanted to say on the serious note, for those of you out there that are listening who you share that responsibility, I think that part of what makes this holiday significant is, as the preparer, the opportunity to put all this together, to put that time in, and then get to see, your family enjoy it. And not because you want the thanks or the praise, but just because it's nice to be able to do that thing and then have your family enjoy it and come together and spend time around that. Kind of like what Lance was saying. And I think that's why, right? That's part of why the food, because when you look at a lot of this stuff, right, that we make, none of it's, extraordinary cuisine, right? I mean, it's all fairly straightforward stuff that most people could make if they put time, into doing it. I think it has more to do, right, with going through the process of putting together a feast and then enjoying it together with the family, because that's kind of I think what it has become for most people. And that's part of what I think, at least for me, makes it special, where I know for other people, right, if you're just partaking in the meal, you might value some of the other stuff. But I enjoy, even though I'm not spending a lot of time with other people during the food prep process, that process of it, because of what the end result becomes.
Well, selfishly, that's why I'm delivering it.
Yeah.
They all called and said, okay, what are the recipes? We're going to make them ourselves, and then we'll all just get together. And selfishly, I said, no, I get a lot of good feelings out of preparing all of this for everybody. So they acquiesce, because they think it's crazy that I'm going to make everything and then pack it up and then deliver it. But that's the whole point, is giving service to others. That's where it feels good. And this is, if you're the person who makes the meal, I really hope that you come at it from that direction, that you don't take it on as a task, that you take it on, you're doing it for the love of your family or the group. Because we usually have friends over as well. We usually have family friends, and it's usually open season. We have a lot of nieces and nephews, and my daughters, when they were in college, who would bring home kids who couldn't get home from their college for Thanksgiving. So we always have a mishmash of people, and it's just that service attitude of bringing everybody together and letting them be a part of a family or the family at that time. It's just a lot of personal feel good to do that. So,
well, we've talked some about the main dish, and I have to share the details of my main dish, but we're going to continue to talk about what else goes with the meal, right? We've got some turkey centric, Lance family turkey centric. We've got the Devon creature, lasagna centric. So, which I love, by the way.
I want some of the Devon creature lasagna, but I'm afraid he'd sneak in some of that fake meat lasagna on me. And I don't want that. And I don't want that at all. I'll eat the real stuff,
Everyone always tries the fake meat one, and they're always surprised by how close it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, for our listeners,
close in hand grenades and atomic bombs, dude. That's how close.
Go back and listen to our episode about the beef with meat alternatives. That's the title of it, the beef with meat alternative.
I still can't get that taste out of my mouth
because
there's not enough ketchup in the world.
It's on tape, right? Lance is always all about it's on the tape. It's on the tape. When he tried both sandwiches with everything on it, okay, this is the key, with everything on it, he preferred the fake meat burger over the regular. But then...
It's because it had more ketchup on it.
Listen to him. But then when we told him which ones it was, he took stuff off and took the meat by itself, and he hated the fake meat on its own. So interesting stuff. But we got more to come. Keep it here on The State of Us, and we'll be right back.
We are The State of Us. Here's your host, Justin T. Weller.
So we've got one turkey-centric, one lasagna-centric. We'll call it alternative-centric Thanksgiving, and we're gonna have to chalk up 2 wins for the turkey, the bird, because that is indeed how it is in our house. Unlike Lance, though, and I think this has been you've usually done smaller birds. I mean, not tiny, but you've usually done a couple, right? As opposed to doing one big turkey, you might do like 2 14 or 15 pounders.
I can't have, if I had a double oven, then I would do a bigger bird. But my oven is just like constantly full. So I can't just take it up with the bird. I got to get the bird in and out quickly, carve it, put the meat. Cause that's the other thing. We don't put the turkey on the table. We carve it in the kitchen and then just serve the meat.
Well, and the way that I get around that, because we usually are purchasing in the neighborhood of a 24 pound to 30 pound turkey. So Devon's eyes. That's a big bird.
Devin's eye roll. He's like, man, that's a lot of lasagna. 30 pounds of lasagna. My goodness.
I don't know. I'm not sure it's a 1-to-1 conversion.
I'd like to know the equivalence appearance of the 30 pounds of lasagna.
That's your task for this year.
Oh,
30 pounds of lasagna.
I want mom to make a lasagna in the shape of a turkey. And I want to picture
it needs to be 30 pounds.
I'll try my best.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not sure.
If you got a big pan, then you could carve the noodles around, do a little artwork and make it look like a turkey and bake it in the shape of a turkey.
So I have one issue with that, is that when you eat lasagna, you know how it all just kind of falls apart? How do you prevent that?
I don't think you do. You need something that has more holding power. Because see, I used to have that problem with stuffing or with dressing, and I now put 2 eggs in with the mixture of dressing, and that adds some binding. That's how I get around it, Lance, with the turkey. The large turkey is, because I have the same situation, only got the one oven, right? I put it in and slow roast it overnight. So it goes in last thing before bed at 220 degrees. And by the time I wake up in the morning, the turkey is done at that point. So it comes.
So then you have your oven available all morning.
Exactly. Because that was the next thing I wanted to ask you guys. Is it lunch or dinner for Thanksgiving? Is it lunch or dinner? So Devon, we'll start with you this time. Lunch or dinner?
It's actually typically a really weird time. It's like the in between. 3 p.m. is like the time we do it. So it's like, it's not exactly dinner, not exactly lunch.
It's neither.
So it's a meal.
Okay. Thanksgiving. So do you eat a lunch then, and then like this comes? Or
I don't eat until this happens.
Okay.
So if it will be at 5 o'clock, I'm not eating until 5 o'clock, so I can make sure I can stuff my entire stomach.
The meal itself is typically about 1, but it's a gluttonous grazing time. From the time people show up until they take the leftovers home. When they show up, usually between 9 and 10 a.m., there are turkey cookies and Rice Krispie treats and a cheese ball and a fruit and crackers and a fruit tray and a veggie tray for everybody to munch on and graze on while I'm still in the kitchen cooking. But that's why it's the camaraderie of the family is almost more important than the food, and then everything just stays out. And, my nephew's favorite thing is he's made a new sandwich. He takes my yeast rolls, stuffing, turkey, and gravy and makes sandwiches and takes them out to the basketball court and shoots baskets with this split yeast roll with stuffing, turkey, and gravy on it in his pockets, and he eats it. And when he's done, he comes back in and makes another one. That's his favorite Thanksgiving food is his yeast roll sandwich that he makes with turkey and stuffing and some gravy.
The second most interesting thing in today's show is not the lasagna. The first was the Devon Creature's reaction to the 30-pound turkey. And the
30-pound
and the
turkey.
second one was the just the joy in his eyes when you said cheese ball, and just like wanting to know what
I need to know how big this cheese ball is, what kind of cheese it is.
Oh, well, I'm not that into it. I don't make a homemade one. I have never attempted to make that at home.
Hey, task for this year, Lance, make a cheese ball.
I'm busy making new cookies and other things. So I get more into the baking than making of the cheese ball.
Mine is usually a 2-day ordeal. I know yours is starts Monday. I guess if you count, so we haven't done a frozen turkey in a number of years because up until up until last year, we were still raising turkeys on the farm. And I liked that. I know for some people that might make them queasy, but it is one of those things where, people are more trying to be, some people are trying to be more conscious about, where their food comes from and stuff. And there is something to be said for, obviously, if you raised it, you know exactly what went into the thing. So there's no ambiguity there. So we had, actually, I take that back. It was a frozen one 2 years ago, but it was one of ours that was frozen, that was just thawed out. Okay. So let's discuss, to wrap up, with what your first plate looks like, right? Because we can go on about what the second, third, and 10th plates look like, but that's how it is. Lance had mentioned the grazing. That's kind of how it is at our house. We usually plan on noon or 1 for the main meal. And then from that point through late at night, it's just grazing. We sit down, yes, for the meal, but after that, it's kind of nap, games, more leftovers, more games, more leftovers, more talking, so on and so forth. The first plate for me is we got to get the turkey on there, got to get the very important dressing on there. That's one of my main favorites because there's so many ways to do that. And then the mashed potatoes with the dressing right there, and the bread, whatever the roll might be that year. So that's kind of that's the go-to.
Heavy starch.
Heavy starch. Yes. And just pretty much a stick of butter, you just, mix it all together and then just put a stick of butter on top, and yep. And then salt, plenty of salt. So Lance, what's the first plate look like?
This will sound weird, but as the cook, my first plate is usually pretty slim. I'll just put a dab of everything on it to show everybody that it's okay, because I've been eating since 4 a.m. And, I've had a bite of the turkey to make sure it's okay, the dark meat and the white meat. And I've tested the stuffing, and I've had some of the corn casserole, and I've tasted the mashed potatoes, and I've eaten some of the candied yams to make sure that they're done, to perfection. And, so I'm pretty full by the time I sit down for the meal. So it's just a little dab of everything to show that everything's all right. And then I take my homemade cranberry sauce and clean my palate. And then I hit dessert hard. And then I do big leftovers. I have my big plate at about 9 o'clock at night. Or
Got it. So Devon, what's the plate look like?
So for me, it's mostly literally a heap of lasagna. Maybe some mashed potatoes as well. Around this point, I might have to get a second plate so I can not have all my food pushed together, because the lasagna takes up a huge portion of the plate. So what?
And it falls apart.
Exactly.
You don't want to go into your other food, right?
Right.
Okay,
I want the purest lasagna. But really after that, like I mostly get mac and cheese, and I might just put that on another plate. So really, other than that, I might get a roll. So I don't eat a whole lot. I'm a known picky eater. So
I'm telling you, eggs. Put eggs in it this year.
I'm not carving the lasagna.
It's not going to change the taste of the lasagna, but it will change the binding of the lasagna.
Right. It's texture.
But why would I want to do that if I'm not going to carve it?
Well, because like you said, it still falls everywhere.
That's okay with me. That's lasagna for you.
You want it to do that.
So with your lasagna, do you like a middle piece or do you like a
definitely
quarter
a
piece?
middle piece? That's no matter what I go for, it's always the middle. I'm not a big fan of the sides. I still like them a lot, but there is a preference there.
The dressing, Lance, I'm taking the side piece.
That's like the dressing. Yeah, you get the corners, don't you? You dig out the corners of the dressing because that's where it's crunchy.
I was gonna say the crunch factor.
Yeah,
that's
okay. So see, there's similarities. It doesn't matter what the food is. Do you take out of the middle or do you take off the sides based on?
See, then I'm the opposite with brownies, though. So brownies are from the middle for sure, not the edges.
They have to be from the middle.
But
I say for dessert because I have one of my favorite things, a pecan. I make a homemade pecan pie.
Oh,
and that's my favorite, and I have to save. And it's so sweet and it's so filling. I have to save room to have pecan pie because that's like what I look forward to on Thanksgiving. Because I cook all the other stuff and I'm tasting it as I go to make sure that it's, okay. And
but the pecan pie is the one that you have to wait.
Pecan pie is, I just wait for that. And my mouth's watering right now because
you got mine going too.
We just got our pecans and the dark syrup. And I just, I can't wait, April's crust and the pecan pie is just, it's the bomb. That's what I go for.
Well, before any of our listeners jump through the speakers and into here to eat with us, I think we got to get out of here. So
time's up.
We got it. Well, Lance, we do have a mission at True Chat. I think today we did it, right? Like every day.
Yeah. Well, we're here to educate people, and I think we educated them on
lasagna.
The key is, however you get together, it doesn't matter what you have, and if you're not going to be in person, get together on the phone or on a Zoom or however. Just connect with family this holiday season and be grateful that you're all alive and get a chance to visit. But we're educating people by providing honest, open, and respectful conversations. And the Devon creature was honest with lasagna, so that's a new one. But hey, if it works, that's awesome. If you enjoyed the show, hopefully you can play it at Thanksgiving for everybody. And they'll say, man, where do you find that stuff? That's a good show. I'd like to listen to that. Well, tell them they can find us on Spotify, Overcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found.
The State of Us is a podcast released twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays by 4 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're also a syndicated radio program. So check your local AM or FM talk radio station. See if they carry the State of Us. If they don't, call them up. Tell them they should. For the State of Us on True Chat in Urbana, Ohio, I'm Justin T. Weller.
I'm Lance Jackson.
And I'm Devon McCain.
Special thanks to our editing producer, Bradley Butch, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Be the change. Be sure to check out our website, thestateofus.org, for books, articles, and all the ways to tune in. thestateofus.org.